Hi there, welcome to another episode of Create, where we break down the content strategies behind today's most successful brands and creators. Today we're diving into the world of Glossier, the beauty brand that took the industry by storm with a digital-first, community-driven approach.
Glossier was founded back in 2014 by Emily Weiss and grew out of her popular beauty blog Into the Gloss. And what started as a small direct-to-consumer skincare and makeup line has now become a billion-dollar beauty empire with over 3.1 million Instagram followers.
The crazy thing is that Glossier built this massive following without relying on traditional advertising. Instead, they leveraged content and community to fuel this growth. From the early days, Glossier's strategy was all about putting their customers front and center. They encouraged user-generated content, featured real customers in their marketing, and built a loyal community of brand advocates.
Some key milestones worth mentioning is that in 2021, Glossier hit unicorn status with a 1.8 billion valuation, and they've since expanded into physical retail, opening stores in major cities. Emily Weiss stepped down as CEO in May 2022, with Kyle Lee taking over the role. And in 2023, Glossier partnered with Sephora, which is a significant change in the company's history and distribution strategy.
Now, in 2025, Glossier remains a powerhouse of beauty in the world. Known for their millennial pink packaging, minimalistic aesthetic, and devoted fan base. They've really shown how a brand can harness the power of content and community to drive organic growth in the digital age.
So today, we'll break down exactly how Glossier built their cult following through content, from their blog roots to their savvy social media strategy, and we'll take a look at how they've maintained authenticity while scaling and what other brands can learn from their community-first approach. So get ready to dive into the world of dewy skin and boy brow as we unpack the content strategy behind Glossier's success. Let's get to it.
Okay.
That was a mouthful.
That's, yeah.
We had a bit of a disagreement on how to pronounce the brand, which is because it comes from her blog Into the Gloss.
Yeah.
I initially was like, it's Glossier.
Did you follow that blog?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
But maybe also because my sort of beauty awakening came much later in life. I didn't know how to apply makeup until roughly 4 years ago.
So you weren't interested at all in everything makeup, or is it just the fact that you were like, okay, maybe it's not for me, or
I was going to say I wake up like this, but that's not true. That's not true. But no, I was raised by a single mom who didn't care too much about appearance. She always had short hair. She didn't really do much makeup, and any sort of investment into personal beauty would be a little bit discarded as, so why would you spend money on that? So I wore mascara basically,
but
that was it. And then later on, I think the more I did content, and then I had girlfriends, and I would always have a girlfriend who then did my makeup, and I would be like, oh my God, I look amazing, but I would never know how to do this. And then 4 years ago, I was doing more and more content shoots, and I just kept thinking it's ridiculous that I don't know how to do this myself. So then I had a makeup artist come over to my house and basically teach me how to do it. And she even gave me drawings of this is where you put the dark eyeshadow, and then she wrote which one out of the palettes that she made me buy, and that's sort of how it got started. And then also not getting any younger. So I think especially the last 2 years, when the first sort of wrinkles started appearing, or fine lines. Let's call it that. It's not wrinkles yet, guys. Fine lines. That's when I was like, oh, maybe skincare, because even there, but I do have very sensitive skin. If I put something on it, there's going to be a breakout, which is already happening now from the couple of days of shooting. It's just pimple breakouts.
I don't see anything.
It's because the makeup is very good.
Okay.
You don't want to see what it looks like when I take it off. No, so I have very sensitive skin, so I don't even have a skincare routine.
Okay.
And then the last 2 years, when there were fine lines and stuff like that, that's when I started getting more interested into what's in the products, what should I use. Still very confused about it, but at least I know how to do my makeup now. So that's really only the last 4 years.
Well, you definitely know a little bit more about it than I do. But from what I
loved how you showed up here on Monday and you saw my makeup and you went like, can you do that for me as well? I was like, if you want to look white.
No, from what I saw, as you know, my brother has a beauty tech company. From what I saw from the audience and the users of the app platform, I feel like people are like women are in a perpetual search of the best thing for them in terms of makeup, like trying out new stuff. It's never like, oh, I got my thing. Maybe a little bit of it, but they're always like looking for ways to improve or so there is that.
Well, we can have a whole philosophical conversation about why women are constantly looking for products for makeup. And like, on the one hand, I love it and it makes me feel girly, but at the same time, like it's a little bit of like, do we have to talk about patriarchy on this podcast?
Well,
it's not the point of this episode, but no, I hear what you're saying. It's also because it starts with like foundation. So foundation is the stuff that you put on, ideally not every day, but when I record podcasts, I
look
do it.
Look at you becoming a
woman.
A makeup.
No, but it's about like the skin tone. That's for me has been like the hardest thing to like just find a product that matches the skin tone. Why are you laughing at me?
No, I'm still a woman. But go ahead.
So it's stuff like that. But I think in that regard is what I like about Glossier is that she didn't start off with let me build product.
Yeah.
So this is a prime example of like how content can come first. So you use content to build community. You listen to your community. You give them what they want.
Yeah.
Is basically what she did because she was an editor at Vogue. She started her own blog and she started doing basically interviews, asking her readers what they thought was missing in the beauty space, and then eventually started like creating products based on that feedback from customers. So she was written content first. So I would say SEO, written content first on the blog. And then once that community built, that's when they did product. And then of course, like now they have like huge social media following, and they've stayed away like even from big celebrity endorsement until 2023.
So it's a very data-driven approach because I feel like she saw the gap firsthand while launching these different conversations on topics on her blog. And I think that's also what she says, that based on that, she was like, okay, there is definitely a gap on the market. And she wanted women to feel more confident or it's like I don't know why I feel a bit hung up on it's a data-driven approach because it's such a feminine space. So I would say it's a human needs-driven approach. But yes, like at the end of the day, that's data, right? Yeah. It's like so many people asked me about this, so now we need to like find a solution for that. And she was asking also her readers why they were using the specific products that they were currently using.
And they've maintained that approach. And I think that's also the important thing to note here is that's how she started off, but they're still doing it even though she's not even CEO anymore.
But that's why she dropped us as a CEO, because she wanted to get out of operations to make sure that dynamic still kept on happening.
Okay. I did not have that information.
So she moved to...
I thought I was like, they probably changed CEOs because the new person that they brought in had more experience with retail, which was something that they hadn't done before.
No, she wanted to focus more on the experience, also because they were getting into the retail space. Yeah. She wanted to keep that same user experience.
Makes sense because that's like what she initially thrived at. And then there's a big difference at like starting a company, which we can relate to. There's a big difference between being great at starting something or actually running it. Yeah. It's very different. So that makes sense, but they're still like doing that. There are certain products even now that they've launched because on the blog, they asked basically their customers to say, what would the perfect product look like to you? And then a product was born out of that. So it's you give your customers the idea of co-creation, which is a powerful thing to do. And it reflects also in their social media strategy. Yeah. Because we're talking 35 to 40% of all of their content is UGC and true UGC.
True UGC. That's what I wanted to point out, because basically they started a lot of content types. For example, the series they would have on your stories. They would select like the top 5 tagged posts to be featured on which actually made their community feel valued, feel seen. So,
plus you have to imagine, like, the majority of the people probably creating content around that are people who want to be beauty influencers or lifestyle influencers. And then to have the opportunity to be featured on social pages that have such a large following, it sort of becomes like a competition kind of thing of like, oh, I really want to get featured on that page, because that would basically thrive. Like, it would drive 3 million people to watch my content.
So a lot of people were creating, and they actually, after that, they actually even pushed further with the brand ambassador program. Which was basically having those people create like the best fans. They would actually give them some promo codes and actually incentivize them.
So there, and it's a brand ambassador program in the sense it's still an affiliate program, right? Like that's sort of like what it boils down to. So in their brand ambassador program, they have an approach. I don't want to say that's so different, like a bunch of brands do this, is you as an ambassador get commission on whatever someone buys when using your promo code. So other affiliate programs would say you sign up, you get a unique link, whatever someone buys. Through that, you get a commission without any sort of coupon or whatever. And then quite a lot of beauty brands do it not so much with a unique link, but with a unique promo code. And then, if I'm not mistaken, they also, in their ambassador program, allow these ambassadors to have their own landing pages where they basically showcase their favorite products, which I do think is like a good thing to do. You see it on other websites as well, where you can have like your own Amazon storefront, for example.
As well.
And you can have sort of your curated collection on there, so that your fans can then go and buy those specific products. But it is wonderful to see a brand that is able to use true UGC. Because we spoke about this on another episode, where people often refer to UGC just like content that looks like UGC,
even though it's paid and they actually haven't.
Even though it's paid and scripted, it's just like they film it in that style. But for Glossier, it's like it's actual users creating that content. And also, and that I found very powerful, is they don't just share UGC that solely features their products. So sometimes like a creator will be like, this is my beauty routine, and then it's like products from different brands as well, but Glossier is one of them. And even then they're like, oh, that's great. Like,
because it keeps things very natural and not scripted, as you said.
Exactly.
Okay, that's amazing. So they basically build a strategy to have free content, which is great, and actually authentic content. And I also noticed that in terms of the way the content is shot, it's not very curated. It's iPhone based.
They try to make it look as natural as possible and as unpolished as possible, while still holding very strongly to that brand aesthetic, basically. And the same thing with, I looked, because the majority of beauty brands do have like these macro influencers or like partnerships that they have. And even there, it's like they work with some models on like their Get Ready With Me series on YouTube. But even there, the majority of them are ambassadors. They're in that program, so they're not really getting paid up front. They might, like if it's actually like they have these 3 to 8 minute Get Ready With Me videos on YouTube, they might get paid up front. But they are still also actively their ambassadors. And that was the case until the CEO switch. And then they partnered. And I find this hilarious because we just shot another episode. And it's the same person. And it's the same exact timing. So they partnered with Sydney Sweeney. That ad went live in January 2023. And February 2023 is when they launched in Sephora. And so if we look at Sydney Sweeney, she's now also sort of the celebrity that Dr. Squatch
yeah.
partnered up with for their launch in Walmart. So I don't know what it is about Sydney Sweeney, but apparently she's the girl to go for
when you want to go
want to
retail.
launch retail. Because that's like, it's funny because we record multiple episodes in a go, and then like we just recorded one where same thing, like they partnered with Sydney Sweeney right before they were about to launch retail. So that's for me like interesting to see those comparisons between brands.
No, that's amazing. I also wanted to talk about their brand consistency, which is basically like the colors, the like you see it, you immediately understand that it's Glossier.
They have to, like, their valuation, peak valuation was 1.8 billion. At that point, you can no longer like wing it. Like your brand aesthetic has to be on point. And it goes as far as I checked on their social media, and they did like an activation sort of content event. It's not even an event. Let me explain better.
Yeah.
They launched a fragrance.
I saw that.
When you go on their socials, it looks, again, it's so purposely. It looks like it's shot on iPhone. Someone is holding a Rode mic, which you see like content creators use all the time on social. And they basically go in the street and they ask people to like spray the perfume and what their reaction is. So initially when I saw it, I was like, oh, they have an in-house social media team. They go do these little videos. Very like, again, user feedback. Yeah. Awesome. If you look better, you'll see that there's a giant perfume bottle in the middle of the street. So there's massive budget behind this thing. Okay. And it's an actual like content concept that they're like, let's put a couple of grand, multiple, like let's probably say 5 or more into this, and then we'll go and make it look almost amateuristic, because that's how people shoot content nowadays. But for the people passing by, it's a huge activation campaign with like a huge perfume bottle, people spraying the perfume. They're getting like this ribbon around their wrist that smells like the perfume. But the content is created in such a way that people feel like, oh, it's just my friend who went on the street and asked some questions.
Okay.
So there's a lot of thought behind it. And even there, then I go further. I'm like, this could be even an agency. Like this could be an external creative partner that did the entire activation thing, and then sent like a team of 3 people to go and interview and shoot. Yeah. And if you then think budget-wise, or in a completely different category than just like, oh, the girl from social media went on the street and like asked some questions. But it looks like that, and it purposefully looks like that.
It could be obtainable even without working with an agency, I think.
It could, but I think like at that point, like if it didn't have the huge bottle and the ribbons and the all of like the things surrounding it, I would have 100% been like, it's 2 girls from social media with a bottle of perfume. They went on the street and asked people for their opinions. That's what it looked like. But then if you look closer, you'll see like, this is an entire activation event.
That's awesome. So in terms of content, so we see these interviews that perform really well because they're authentic. There is also reviews and of course tutorials, which I think are like the biggest.
And even their tutorials are always like in a very cozy setting. It just looks like someone's bedroom or someone's bathroom. And there are also product images, but even those, it's soft lighting, the pastel colors, like there's multiple items and then their product. And for the testimonials, even there, like the brand consistency is brilliant, because you'll have like the product images in the back of the image, and then you'll have like a little box that looks like a common box on social media with the review, and then they'll put that in a carousel so that you have multiple product images and like actual customers giving
feedback,
their experience about using those products. They're great on social, to be honest. Like from all of the brands that we've talked about, their brand aesthetic, like just there's a line throughout. There's that community feel throughout. Nothing about it feels forced or, oh, buy me. And I went as far as looking at, okay, the ads that they use.
Yeah.
Do they do like the typical beauty product shot ads? And even there, they always make sure to have it like very native looking. And native looking means it looks like something organically posted on TikTok or Instagram. So they'll have carousel ads, but it will start with, for example, a tutorial on the first slide. And then if you slide further, then you'll have like, oh, the actual products that have been used in the tutorial. So even there, like a lot of thought that goes behind it. And it goes further than just like, oh, here's a neatly shot product shot. Now buy your product.
I see they're active on a lot of platforms. So almost 500K on Facebook, 3 million followers on Instagram, almost 1 million on TikTok, almost 200K on YouTube, and also on LinkedIn, 400K.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
400K on LinkedIn. How come?
Yep, I just told you I didn't know.
Well, so what type of, let me see, what type of content they create.
I can't answer your question if I didn't know this. I didn't expect them to be on LinkedIn, so I didn't check.
And they have pretty good engagement on your posts. So it's basically about launching products, so posts.
I think also you have to consider that anyone working in beauty or fashion or that industry can take Glossier as an example of how to scale. So as a professional in that field, it makes sense to follow them. Yeah. The same way that a lot of business people will follow Forbes. Like everyone knows what Forbes is because it's not like they're posting to that often. Like
it's not like they're speaking.
There's a lot of like they've reposted this, like anything they get tagged in, they repost.
Wow, so their following basically comes from eventually people interested in Glossier, but that's not the place where they would speak to their target customers.
No, but LinkedIn rarely is. Like LinkedIn is not where you don't go there to sell your products directly. You show everything about the growth of your company, how you've built it, interviews with CEOs. Like it's a very different platform.
Do you feel like it's maybe also a place where they explain how, like they show a little bit the brand, I wouldn't say brand seriousness, but just to show that
they're a major player in the industry? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But I think now any player in the industry is like on LinkedIn or like
definitely
also because LinkedIn is first of all the platform where you show sort of more the business side of things. Again, interviews with CEOs, any sort of partnerships that you're doing is what you would post on LinkedIn. Plus more and more hiring happens on LinkedIn as well. So content about what it's like working there, interviews with people who work at the company, like all of that stuff, and more of like the work culture. Any brands nowadays as well as like, are you sustainable? What goes into creating your products? Like that's the stuff that you would go for on LinkedIn. It's more value-based and results-based. And then the other social platforms is where you would go to actually market your customer. Well, it depends. If you are in the B2B niche, like in a B2B sector, then you use LinkedIn to target your customers directly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you're B2C, then you use other social media platforms to market to your customer, and then LinkedIn to market to potential partners, potential people that will come and work for you.
Okay. There is one thing they do, which I feel is really powerful, which is this top customers Slack channel where they have their 100 top customers exchanging over 1,000 messages weekly. I think that's crazy to actually get feedback continuously.
Yeah, I have questions about that Slack channel. Like, I think it's great. And I'm wondering, first of all, at what point did it start? Because if you're such a big company now, how, like, is there someone in the marketing department that goes like, let's put 100 of our customers in a Slack channel?
And what does it mean and what does it mean top customers as well?
Yeah, that's also my question, because are we looking really like B2C customers, like people on the website going crazy? Because I'm wondering, like, this is like stores and like who is in that Slack channel is basically what I'm asking.
I think it's maybe kind of an exclusive. I think they I don't know on which type of criteria they base themselves, but I think you have these points, or it's like an exclusive thing where you actually have new products. You can test them before anyone, and you can share your feedback before it goes on the market. So I guess it's probably
it's a powerful thing to have. It's a powerful thing to have, and it's something again that shows that dedication to co-creating.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and it's beautiful. When you're thinking logistically and like what would the criteria be, and like I don't know how that would how they would select those people, but it is definitely something powerful to have. And it is something that for me, I've heard of when you're looking at the coaching industry, for example, they will have their clients and their top like customers in Slack channels, and you can ask for that direct feedback. I've never heard of it for a beauty brand.
Especially because of the platform. Usually Slack is a little bit more professional.
That's why I'm like, these are business customers.
You have WhatsApp, you have Telegram, you can... Why Slack? It's quite interesting to
there are even like just like a group chat on Instagram. Like that's why I'm wondering, like, are we talking B2B at this point?
Probably content creators, macro content creators to whom they actually have this little community which they share the like premier products for their community and whatnot. So that would make more sense to have it organized that way.
No, I think if we have to talk about the main sort of takeaway, what can we learn from Glossier that is applicable regardless of industry, regardless of budget? It's just an approach that I adore, and something that I've been telling people for a long time is like, start with content.
Yeah.
And then you'll notice what the need is, and you can actually build something that the community that you've built needs and wants to buy. And
to be able to interact with them, the content is needed. Like you need the content to be able to interact. If you just look at like how she built it, like this wasn't a beauty brand. Like it was just a blog. It was a blog. It was content. People liked the content. People kept coming back for the content. She built a community. She started seeing that people had actual problems or needs. Then she went about launching product. And you can apply that to whatever industry that you're in, or whatever expertise that you have. You could say, okay, let me just create content around that. And content, whether that's written content, podcast, videos on YouTube, it creates conversation. Yeah. And we've seen that time and time again. Like, to be honest, like, I'm going to be 100% honest. I love creating content for other people. If I could live my life never having to show my face on social media, I would also be completely okay with that. I sort of enjoy like my anonymity. I was a lot more active on social before, and then I took like a good 3-year break, and here we are again. But even during that 3-year break, whenever I post a story about what I am doing, it will lead to conversations. It's how we've made hires. It's how we've booked clients from small social media accounts. So it always leads somewhere. And sometimes it will lead to you figuring out that your idea isn't a product market fit. Yeah. But then at least you figured that out before investing in it. I remember we went to a startup accelerator to pitch. And there was a woman there, and she had an idea for a product. I'm not going to like out her, but she had an idea for a product. She had spent $20,000 of her own money going to China, developing like a prototype, the whole thing. She came to pitch it, and I asked her, okay, how much would you have to sell this at? And she's like, oh, about 200 euros. Based on what?
Based on how much she was paying to produce the thing. Okay. Right? But this particular product, no one was going to pay this isn't like a luxury product, or like it was more of a safety product. But like, I was just like, do you know whether or not like your market, like your
product market fit? Yeah. Like if
would people want to pay 200 euros for this? I asked her, like, did you at least like do some content or like run ads to a landing page. And she's like, no, I first want to have the thing to sell. And then I'm going to
even
like
stupid surveys, like I'm thinking stupid, like go to communities where there is your target audience, have them fill out or answer questions, go on,
just go
on
talk
Twitter,
to the people that you like think might need your product. And you can do that either like just as a person, go and talk. But in that, like, I prefer the content approach. Like you start posting content about it.
Yeah.
Those people are going to find you and they're either going to tell you it's a shitty idea or it's a great idea and they want to buy it.
Especially for the type of product she was going for. She could have created content, like a bunch of content.
Yeah. Sometimes like, because not everyone is like, has a production capacity or a budget to do a bunch of content, but like, one pager landing page. Yeah, I get what you're saying. One pager landing page and just like some ads to that landing page, and it's a waiting list.
Exactly.
That's it. And then when people sign up, you are like, hey, we're still in developing phase. Can I ask you some questions? What budget would you have in mind for this?
And you can go to an accelerator with that, saying, hey, I have these number of
500 people who signed up on my waiting list are willing to pay this. Yeah. And I think that's something that Glossier, like it's just the Into the Gloss already existed. I think even now for Glossier, their blog is like over 800,000 monthly visits. I think
it was easier for her to raise funds. Did she like this?
She raised, she raised 250,
with the
over
community,
250,
right?
250 mil, I think she raised.
Okay.
But this was like, well, the company was valued at 1.8 billion. So that's doable to raise at that point. She didn't raise initially. She just built the blog.
No, I mean after the blog, because with the audience she had, the community she had, she could easily raise because it's
whenever you have community and you can show, hey, here are all the comments of my audience saying that they need this. This is what my competitors are charging. This is what I want to build. This is what it's going to cost. I project this is revenue, then for sure you can raise. That's always like the two things that people look for when you're looking to raise is their product market fit? Is the need there? And do you have some sort of an idea of like how you're going to be able to sell this? And then if you have community, if you have people on a blog or on a wait list, that's gold. If you can say, okay, this is addressable market and I'm great at running ads and like this is going to be the cost per acquisition, of course, also doable, but less attractive than I already have an existing community that I can sell it to. Yeah, for sure. Okay. But so yeah, that's I think key takeaway for this episode and for Glossier is like, regardless of the niche or industry that you're in, a content first approach can always work. Definitely. And it's gonna save you money and time in the long run.
No, content is key nowadays. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Thank you for listening. I think it's all for today's episode. If you're not yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you're listening to us, subscribe on whatever channel you're listening. And we'll share it with
someone who can like use this information, someone who might find it useful. And if you have other brands or creators that you want us to do a breakdown on, leave it in the comments, and then we will talk to you in the next one.
Peace.